Following segment on KROC AM is sponsored and paid for by the Gwaltney Group of RE/MAX Results. And Robin Gwaltney is in the studio with me this morning. Robin, happy Monday.
Well, thanks.
Well, today we're going to talk about the steps to buying a house. Now, you put on little classes or seminars for first-time home buyers or those that hadn't bought in a long time, just to refresh or teach them what needs to be done.
Correct. We actually try to do these classes 1 or 2 times a year, and there are several other realtors that teach these classes as well, and some lenders. I think it's a great idea, if you're not familiar with the home buying process, to educate yourself first. It'll just make you that much more, I guess, competitive.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and you don't want to go in and first start looking for houses and then find out that you can't afford anything that you're looking at.
Right. And especially in this market because, as we've been talking about the last few weeks, the inventory is low. So what happens is we get into multiple offer situations. The house will hit the market and literally within 4 or 5 hours, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 offers. So if you're one of those buyers and you plan to get that house, then you have to have your ducks in a row.
All right. So what's the first thing you need to do?
The very first thing you need to do is get pre-approved. So sometimes people know which bank they want to go to. Sometimes they think it's just the bank that they bank at is the best, which might be the case, but not necessarily. Different lenders have different programs. Some banks have some zero-down programs that are just for a certain set of buyers. Some banks specialize in the VA loans and the FHA loans. Other banks don't want to do them. So I think it's really important to line yourself up with a realtor that you plan to work with and let them guide you. And, preferably that'll be me or someone from my team.
Sure. So, yeah, and can you get pre-approval from 2 different institutions? Or?
Absolutely. You can get pre-approval. The bottom line is that once you're pre-approved, you're going to get the loan, especially if you get pre-approved by somebody very credible. All right, I worry a little bit about some of these online lenders.
Rocket Mortgage, where you just hit the button?
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not bad. I mean, obviously they're in business.
New.
Yeah, but I will say as a listing agent, if I get 2 or 3 offers on a property that I have listed and I know the lenders on 2 of them and the other one is some online approval, I'm going to feel a lot less excited about that approval, and it's my responsibility to tell the seller that.
All right, so you get pre-approved, you're all set. And you come in, you got your little piece of paper that says you've been pre-approved, and you can show it to your realtor.
Exactly.
Then what?
Well, then you start to look at houses. And, I tell people it's easy, especially if it's your first time buying a house, it's easy to get emotional about the process and decide this house is really cute or I really love this. It's a huge investment, the biggest investment you've made at this point in your life when it's your first time buying a house.
Very hard to keep your emotion out of it.
But that's where, again, the realtor comes in, because it's our job to help you make a good investment. You don't want to overpay for something. You want to make sure you get the biggest bang for the buck so that when it comes time to sell it again, you're in a great position.
In your opinion, say if you're approved for a $150,000 home, should you go for a $150,000 home?
That's not the way I advise people. I tell people, let's start looking less than where you're approved and see if we can make you happy there and find a good investment there. Just because the banks want to give you the money if you're a good buyer, but I always tell people it's kind of nice to have money to do other things as well. So, when people say, what's the best price to invest at? I say the most important thing is to get the biggest bang for the buck.
You might want to do some painting, maybe a little remodeling in a couple of little minor areas.
Take a vacation,
or
have a life.
You
don't want to be married to your house. I mean, it's good to buy a house that you can afford comfortably.
All right. So, and then what's next?
So I think timing is a big thing. A lot of people who are coming out to buy their first house are currently renting. So they know that they have to give their landlord usually a 30-day notice. So typically you're going to want to find that house, and close 45 days out, maybe 60 days out. So you have that process of turning in your notice and, timing it all out just perfectly.
So that it's usually about a month or so before the closing?
It used to be 30 days was kind of the standard, and then they changed some of the lending laws recently. Mm-hmm. So some lenders are telling us, give me 45 days. So I think if people know they want to close 2 months from now's the time to start looking for houses.
Okay. Because the weather will be nice by closing time. We
exactly.
hope. We'll certainly hope.
Exactly.
All right. And anything else we need to know?
I just want to have one little quick tip to sellers,
okay.
Because it is still winter and the snow is still flying, unfortunately. I think it's super important to keep your sidewalks and your driveways cleared so that when we bring buyers to look at the houses, they're not turned off by that. And, of course, it's not dangerous.
All right. So, first impressions are very important.
Yes. And it makes people think, boy, if they keep such neat, immaculate care of their driveway and their sidewalk, they probably take the same kind of care of their house.
Right. All right.
So it's good.
Somebody would like to know more about the process of buying a home and need a realtor to get a hold of, I bet they could get a hold of you.
That would be awesome.
And how do they do that?
Call my cell phone, 507-259-4926, or visit my website.
Which is?
Gwaltneygroup.com.
Excellent. Robin, have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
Sounds great, Rich.
Monday.
Sounds great, Rich.
Monday.